Hello everybody and welcome to the Coach Dad Podcast.
Well done, Austin.
So hello, yes, and welcome to the next instalment of the Coach Dad Podcast with me, your host Ben. Now, a couple of week gap again, been fairly busy. I'm trying to get this as regular as possible every week, but might have to drop into a fortnightly episode. And I think that's going to be the best way for me to tackle this for the time being, until I get something more regular sorted out at home. But you don't want to hear about all that stuff anyways. We're here for the football, we're here for the grassroots stuff, we're here for the stories. So yeah, that's what it's all about. So I just want to start off first with a bit of an apology. I am not a technophobe. I'm pretty decent on sort of technology, apps, blah, 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 Facebook and Messenger and Instagram. I know how to sort of roll with the punches with that. But TikTok is obviously a fairly new phenomenon for a 40-year-old bloke like me. You see that I bang out the memes and stuff like that, and it's all done lightheartedly, and I'm quite good at creating and sending and stuff like that. But I didn't really know the power of TikTok and its use as a communication tool. So I just want to first off apologise, because I was having a little sort of dig about and see that I had a folder with message requests in there. Now, I've never really used TikTok to communicate on properly, only once or twice. But I see this message request folder, and it was sort of highlighted. Clicked on it, and I see I had a load of messages in there from coaches and people, well wishers, etc., etc. So I've sort of reached out to them and hit them back straight away. So if you listen to this, because they say they listen and they like the show, and they ask for advice. So there's a chap, Gaza, who's on there, Ben Knight as well. I've replied to, and a couple of other people who's well wishers, but most particularly Gaz and Ben, because they asked for advice. Now I don't want you to think I'm up my own arse and I'm too big to respond to it, which is totally not the case. For those who's listened to me on regular and who have messaged me on other places like Facebook or Messenger, for instance, because you get a notification of that come straight through, I'm on it straight away, and I respond, and I'll help where I can and talk to people. So, but yeah, TikTok, when it was launched in its infancy 5-6 years ago, whatever, was for people, young girls to dance was what it was sold as. And then as you get drawn into it, you see what a powerful tool it is as communication and videos and all the other stuff like that, and advertisement. It's got a shop. But yeah, I didn't really ever think of it as a sort of a platform to message and talk to people. So yeah, I've reached out to you guys, and like I say, feel free, apologies about a month late on my responses, but again, come back to me, talk to me on there. It'd be great to ask you about your experiences and where you're at with it. And yeah, that's more to the more that leads us into the title of this episode, called Guests. So basically, the podcast world works on guests. I see other people doing similar things to me, and they will have guests on and all the rest of it, and they have it in their own quirky way and work it into their format. Whereas for me, I'm sort of running on by myself. I might have my boys on every now and then to say a few words, but I managed to string an episode out, half an hour, 45 minutes by myself, running on as I do. But yeah, I think we need to open this space up now. So you'll see an advert go out shortly on across the socials, looking for guests to come on to the show. And as always, why I done this was more for a place to vent what's happening and how I feel about grassroots football and my journey as I go along. And it was, a learning tool for all, and myself, and any advice and help that I could, give anybody, I'll gladly give it to them. And it's a bit of a self-help guide. So it'd be great to speak to coaches in their infancy, maybe in their very first year or their early days, or up to, like me, up in my second year, and just see how they're dealing with it, and what their feelings are towards it, and what scares them about it, what they're worried about, and what they enjoy about it. And then obviously coaches that are further down the line, year 1 and 2, how have they grown, what would they do different, and just the impact it has on them as people, family, why they do it, what they love and hate about being a grassroots coach, and what would they change, all the normal stuff. But it'd be great just to share some stories and share this space, because it's a bit lonely around here by myself, so it'd be great to hear from others. And I'm now in a position where I can get this done, so I'm going to move the show to a fortnightly episode for now, but we're going to go with a guest, and it'd be great to hear from you, anyone who's new to grassroots football, or like say a year or two in. I'm not excluding anybody else. It'd be that'll be my niche for now, because that's what it is: coach, parents, dads, which majority of us are. And it'd just be great to hear stories of how people are getting on and how is it going, and like I say, a little bit of a space, a little bit of a self-help guide, and we can all have a chat about it. And it'd be great for because grassroots football is massive in this country, and coaches out there are predominantly parents and people who are new to it, and most people who step up and take a team on the majority of them are new to it. So there's a big reach out there, and if we can help others, people like me a year and a half down the line, other people only 6 months into it, but if they can give some help and some guidance, and we can have a chat about it, that'd be great to get that out there for other coaches who are new to it to listen and seek advice. Because that's the questions, getting back to what Gaz and Ben asked. They just asked maybe to talk about certain things, like the power play rule and just various things like that. So it'd be just great just to hear what people's thoughts are on it. And I know there's seasoned coaches out there, but like I say, it'd be great to have a bit of a self-help guide for new coaches out there, so we can all sort of share our stories and experiences in one place. But as for that's what it is. Been away for a couple of weeks again, just busy as it is, as always. There's always something going on in my household with 3 kids. There's always a couple of days each my boys have dedicated to football. Then I've got my little girl as well. Then I've obviously got the wife as well, and we're just a busy working family, and those evenings and weekends are eaten up and swallowed up by all manner of things. We're now rolling round to the festive period, so it's all hands on deck, looking for garden centres and Santas to go and see, and train rides and magical mystery tours and all the rest of it. So yeah, looking busy for the next month coming up. As I sit here, I'm doing this on a Wednesday, and it is 5 weeks till Christmas now. So yeah, lots and lots going on as always. But yeah, back to the most important thing, which is obviously the grassroots football, and we'll get into it with this week's football news.
This week's football news.
So yes, this week's football news. Now, as we left it in the last episode, my little under-9s, we had our first ever league competitive positive result, and it was great for the boys. Obviously, I said there was a bit of a caveat to that, and as I left it, I think I told you we were playing a team called Leverington, so I'll get straight into that. So Leverington, I chatted to the manager, and his team had gone unbeaten all season. By far the best team in our little league. We're in the lowest league. They're probably going to get moved up at the shake-up at Christmas. But yes, we went into that game full of hope, obviously off of a win, but me as a coach obviously worried, because they turned us over in our very first game of the season by double figures at their place on the AstroTurf where they play. And yeah, chatting to the coach, they hadn't lost a game all season so far, had a couple of draws, and the week before the cup game, where we didn't play in the cup because I couldn't raise a team, they played our sister team, the Blacks, Sholdham Under-9s Blacks. We're Golds, they're the other team of the Blacks, and they operate in a league higher, and Leverington actually knocked Sholdham out of the cup. So that just shows you the sort of strength that they're operating with at the minute, and they're doing really well. So we went into that game a little bit, us coaches, a little bit not worried, but just where are we at as a team? Like I say, we feel we're progressing in the right way. We've now got that competitive positive result, and then it looks like we're feeling like we're moving in the right direction. Well, the game kicked off and it was unbelievable. The boys had played the best that they had played under me just throughout for the first 15-20 minutes. They passed the ball, they were crunching into tackles, they were winning it, and dare I say, me and Adam, the other coach, think we would say this, but we believe we were dominating the play. We had the best chances, and like I say, this is against the team top in the league. Not top in the league, we don't have a league format, but they undefeated, and we were playing so well. We were battling. It was 50-50, but I think we created the better chances. We set up in our Christmas tree the 3-2-1. We had it pretty strong throughout, and we had James, who I've talked about a couple of times, lad to me, new at the end of last season, but has just this blistering pace and this strength about him. So our idea was put him up top, and what we'll do is we'll try and win the battle in the middle of the park, and we'll try and get balls played through to him for him to chase, and that just worked. And he had a couple of free chances and saves, or it just went wide, but we were cutting them up in behind. And then around the 15-minute mark, Bill, he was our top goal scorer last season. I've dropped him back into a bit of a midfield runner because he's just such a great all-round player, can tackle, pass, shoot. Played a fantastic free ball to James, who took it in his stride and just knocked it past the keeper, and we were 1-0 up. A goal to the good. I know I'm not meant to talk about scores and all the rest of it and exact scores, but we went up and we were winning, and we were playing really, really well. So that was around the 15-16 minute mark, and then naturally we had to make some subs and change things about a little bit, and then eventually the resolve and the energy started to wane a little bit, and then Leverington come back into the game, and they then went ahead themselves just before the break. And then the second half we come out and we never really hit the dizzy heights again of that first sort of 20-25 minutes, but we played so well and battled so hard, and in terms of score line wasn't double figures, but it was a lot closer than, I'm not going to say exactly what the score was obviously, but it was a lot closer, a lot more competitive than many would have gave us credit for, so we were absolutely fantastic. And I said to my parents, they were also pleased because they could see the way we passed, they could see the energy the boys had, they could see what we see it in them. It's just getting them to get it out for a whole game. And I sort of explained it to him that naturally the passing game died off in the second half because the boys I believe they have this inbuilt thing in them that when they go behind, that they have to chase the game, which means they have to get that ball in their minds. They have to get that ball up the field as quick as possible, when in fact they just need to stick to what they're doing, the composure, and you need to slowly get yourself back into the game. But we'll build that into them. But like I say, there's sort of an inbuilt, they're chasing the game because they're behind. So let's get it up there as quick as possible, long balls. And they started to not think about their passing so much, where that is what made them control the game in the early parts and then go 1-0 up. So yeah, it's great all-round performance. And me and Adam said, and we put it in the group chat after when I do a little report, that we came away far more happier in the game that we just lost than we did when we won our first game the week before, because the progression, the moving forward, just that is what they have. We know we have this in this group. It's just getting the confidence out of them to put that performance together week in, week out, that the passing is the right thing to do, playing out from the back is the right thing to do, battling, not standing off. All those things came together for the first half against the best team in our league, and we were winning the game. But then naturally, it sort of, like I say, the quality of the opposition, nothing our boys do, just that you got to put your hands up sometime that you're playing against a better team, coupled with our lack of depth and moving players about. It just fell away in the second half, and but they didn't run away with it by any means. We were competitive right until the end, so it was great. The game was marred by poor parent behaviour again, and don't care if anybody listens back to this. I'll talk about it, but I'm going to be having a chat with someone else on another podcast. And I know one of the questions is about what would I change in grassroots football, and it would be parents. I would just have rules like they should not be able to say anything other than clap and cheer, and that's it. But the parents were vile. They were swearing. I knew this would come, that when we become competitive and not be the whipping boys, that it would matter more now to the opposition parents. Oh yeah, we played these last year and beat them 17-0. Well, when you're now losing to this team, when you're now losing to us, it becomes more important for them. And the opposition were vile. I had to ask the coach to go over. Again, we had a young ref. It wasn't my lad reffing who normally does it. It wasn't Caleb reffing. It was actually Adam, his son. They're both the same age, and he plays at quite a high level actually for a team called Wesleyan. And so his team are top of the Norfolk Combined Youth League, so he knows football, and he offered to ref, and we gave him a go. It was absolutely fine. Yeah, he didn't get everything right. In fact, one of the goals we conceded to get Livingston back on equal terms was from a free kick, and it wasn't really a free kick. It was just a coming together, two people. But again, we let that ride, don't we? We don't say nothing about that. It was Adam's son, the other coach, so he gave that, and we sort of looked at each other and went, always a bit soft there. And then, of course, they scored from that free kick, got back into the game. But those things are not important. The refs are there to make those mistakes, and you've got to allow them the time and space to breathe and make those mistakes. Unfortunately, the opposition and the parents they didn't want to allow that. They wanted what they wanted, and they were happy to vent and shout and scream and cry and swear. And I mean, I said to the opposition coach, I'll go call out if you don't, because we had this with these parents. It's twice now we've come up against these, and twice we've had the same issues, both at our place. Away they're not so bad, and I think it's because it's on a 3G pitch. They're behind a cage and a barrier, and they can't get so directly involved. They're quite a way away from the pitch, whereas here, you're only a couple of metres back, and I don't know, it just winds me up so much. I'll be honest, it pisses me off just so much. Just parents in football, like my parents are great. They don't give no jip to anybody, and I'll talk about it in a second about how good we were when perhaps it didn't go our way in our next game. But yeah, in this one they were pretty bad, so we had to have a chat, and the coach went over and sorted it out, and we all shook hands at the end. They went away with a victory, but yeah, it just means so much. But so yeah, we came away with that one happy. We had what was a fairly good training session in the week. We feel we're starting to introduce more complex passing drills, where instead of just, because this is where we were at only 6 months ago, where we'd have them lined up and you'd have them doing a pass from, use your side of your foot, control it, side of your foot nice and softly back to your other player, for him to control it with the side of his foot to then push it back. That's where we're at. But now we're doing more complex pass move, and the drills and the little things that we're doing are becoming a little bit more involved to get them understanding pass and move and all the rest of it. And it's, like I say, it's come on. It's part of the progression that we got. So the good training session, like I said, I was going to introduce a sin bin, but we didn't actually bother doing it in the end because everyone turned up good. We were happy after, because everyone put the effort in that game and were fantastic. And yeah, training went by without a hitch. Then we went into the weekend just gone against a team called Docking. They had beaten us. So as it is, we're now in replaying teams that we've already played. We're now in that sort of stagger in reverse. So we played Docking away at their place. They came to us at the beginning of the season, and again we were still sort of not fully up to strength when we played them. So it's always good when you play a team a second time around, not to only see where they're at but where you're at, because I think it's hard for certain teams who are beating you to make massive improvements. They might make small improvements, whereas us, we've got that ability to make massive improvements, so we always see where we're at. So we went away to their place, had pretty much a full team, but didn't have a goalkeeper again. So again, we had to sort of mix it up in goal, and we started the game slow. We normally start the games really fast, And this whole progression of the last 5 or 6 weeks has been us starting games solid, making ourselves solid and starting fast. We conceded a goal after a minute. Again, standing keeper. I think Oscar was in goal, Adam's son, and no blame for anybody who goes in goal. I think it's just a bit slow reacting, whereas if you have your proper goalkeeper, they might react to it. But I don't think there was nothing you could do about it. Actually, no, thinking about it, I think it was actually a good drive from the edge of the box. I don't think we closed down, that's what it was. We didn't close down, we allowed them the space and just shot in. After a minute, we started cold, we were slow. Then we got back into the game, we're pretty well starting to work our way back into it with similar play to the Leverington game, where we were looking for James in behind, trying to dominate the midfield. We were battling hard, the passing, they were trying it just weren't coming off as well. And then I believe Harry, a little player of the season from last year, scored an OG from a corner, sort of just swiped at it and it went straight in. And then I think they got another goal before the break. This is the first time we played halves, actually, because the opposition wanted to play halves. Our league had issued a load of fines for things like not completely filling in full time and putting all the substitutions in. A load of rubbish, really. But so they put a note out. You might have heard me say on an episode a week or two ago about they want us all to play halves. So their coach, they were at home and they wanted to play half, so we went for that and just see how we went. And we did all right, to be fair, but we got to halfway stage, only a few goals to the negative. And then after the break, we picked up and we looked like a total reverse, and we created the better chances. We hit the post, hit the bar, keeper made saves. Little lad Arthur blazed one over from like a yard or two. I can't believe he missed that. But the game, we couldn't get on the score sheet, and the game sort of ran away from us again. But again, nothing there really to be worried about or concerned about. We got a negative result, but again, much better than when we played them earlier in the season. Much more organised, created loads of chances. And again, in my write-up in that I do for the group, the parents after, explaining I always explain a little bit about what we were doing, why we did certain things, and what we were looking for and what we were really impressed with, because obviously parents see an overall result of a negative result and a score, but we always like to put in the group about our decisions and what we were looking for and what we did and what we thought of it. And I put in there, it was two evenly matched teams where one team simply took chances and one team simply didn't, and we didn't take our chances. So we feel we're on an even keel now with certain teams. We just need to be a bit more ruthless, perhaps at the other end. And because we didn't have a goalkeeper, 2 or 3 of our goals came from playing out. It's the first time it's happened in a long time where the ball will be live in the hands of the goalkeeper, and because we encourage playing out from the back, it will just be a silly throw and it will land straight at the opposition's feet, who will just tap into an empty net. And it's just like, just slow it down, boys. But I put, again, in part of my report, I put in the group chat that a goalkeeper is such a nuanced position, and if you haven't got your goalkeeper, there's never no blame for anybody who steps up and offers to go in goal. So we wouldn't ever put that on anybody, and in fact they're doing what we ask and it's not coming off. So we would rather them go through that process of trying to play out and it go wrong, because then they will learn that, well, maybe I should let them back off, maybe I should let them drop, maybe I shouldn't throw across my goal when there is an opposition player close. And it's just working those things out, allowing them that time and space to make those mistakes and think about it. So we came away with a few positives again. It just perhaps weren't, it was the old, we've been, the 2 steps forward and 1 step back. So maybe after the 2 steps forward against Leverington, we took a little step back against Docking, but we'll regroup and we'll look to go again in next week's game. And so that was it for my little under 9s. Oh, just a quick one about, obviously I said about the behaviour for Leverington and and the young refs. Dockin, the manager, texts me and he goes, before the game, we're going to have a young lad do it. Can you just be fair to him? And it's like, of course we will be, mate. Don't worry about that. We'll fine. And he done really well. I think it was one of his first games reffing. And again, some decisions that perhaps he didn't get 100% right, but nothing that changed the outcome of the game, nothing that really put anyone in danger and weren't wrong, and there was no bias there, and it was just about allowing him to make mistakes. I went up to him after the game and with the other coach gave him a handshake. I said, well done, mate. Just a bit of advice was perhaps use your whistle a bit more or a bit louder, and it's hard for kids that are only a few years older than the ones that they're looking after, but just be more, a bit more authority, and those kids will listen. But yeah, great. He did and that's how you should approach dealing with things that don't go your way. Certain things, if you think you should have a free kick but you didn't, it doesn't matter. Ultimately it doesn't really matter. You need that chap on the field there, young kid getting into experiencing, and did really well. Didn't get a lot wrong, like I say, missed a few bits, what I would deem missed a few bits, but that's not to say that's wrong. That's just the way he gave it. So yeah, did really well. So that was our couple of games. Austin, across those couple of games against Leverington, he got really stuck in actually. He was getting bashed about, played up top when he came on. I think he dropped him at midfield at one point as well. But yeah, one of his better games he had. Dockin went missing a little bit, but again, like I say, levels dropped all round on the previous 2 weeks for the whole team, really. So he was where everybody else was. Tried his hardest. In fact, I think he actually probably had one of our better chances. Just couldn't get it just couldn't get it in the net. So he keeps plugging away and really enjoying his football at the moment. And so that was it. As for Caleb had a mixed bag of results. He had a massive defeat when we left off, I think 9-0 to 9-10-0 to Tinkle Marshall, and really, really, really good team. I'm now looking at full time actually. The first weekend we travelled with him and his team to a place called West Winchhead, an away game, and for the first time in about 5 games, he found himself actually on the bench, and I believe West Winchhead, one of the strugglers in the league, and he started on the bench. So I think the manager mixed it up a little bit actually, and played different people in different positions, and they won that game comfortably. I think I just read it was 8-0, 8 or 9-0 they won, 8-0 they won. And he came on second half and he was solid, done what he needed to do. I think he enjoyed playing against West Winch because he knew a few of the lads were his friends from school. So it's always nice to get one over on your friends. And the next week they played, so the weekend just gone, they played a team called Snettisham, who are again a fairly strongish team. I'm looking at the league, Snettisham currently sits 6th, Watlington sit 4th. And yeah, Snettisham, that's out of 14 teams that is. Snettisham came, and it was just a great game, great battle. Caleb started at right back again. That's where he's found himself now, and it was just a great game, fair battles. Both teams, wanting to win, wanting to play football, and it's nice to see Watlington, because they'd had a couple of bad results where they hadn't played their football. And then obviously they played at West Winch and won that comfortably. You can't really gauge from them type of games if they're back on it or not. But this was the type of game where there was a battle to be had against a good team, and they did really well. They actually went 1-0 down, and it was just about against the run of play. I can't remember if it was a goalkeeper mistake actually. I think it was a cross actually. It was meant to be a cross, and it just worked its way over, sailed over everyone and went into the top corner. A great finish, but I don't think the player meant it for Snettisham, but credit to him. And then almost immediately on the next attack, Watlington equalised from a bit of work down the right hand side. I think Caleb was involved in it actually, and then the girl Tia crossed it in, and I think it was Theo just bundled it straight in. It was great passing move. I think it's sort of 4 or 5 passes, and yeah, they were just on it, played their football, played fantastic really, and both sets of parents came away saying it was a great game, great battle. And again, Caleb knew a couple of people on the selection team, goes to high school with him, and yeah, I love it. He came off happy. It's weird, he hadn't come off happy for a little while because, I don't know, I think he thinks he's let the team down, or his performance hadn't been where it's at, but he was solid. Got a few votes as well. I thought he might have been with an outside chance of getting Parents Player. I think that's the one he wants to get. He hadn't had that one since he's been there. He's won man of the match a couple of times, but Parents Player, obviously, we do a poll in the WhatsApp group, and he's come close a few times, and again he got a couple of votes at the weekend, but just didn't win it in the end. But he was solid, won his battles, didn't really get beat too much. So yeah, did really well. I'm trying to think about what we got coming up next week. Caleb has got a game, really early kickoff actually, 10 a.m. Away at Heacham, right on the coast, really cold. Not looking forward to that one. And my team, my under-8s, we have got an away game against Outwell Swifts. Now, Outwell Swifts, we played them in pre-season, and we played them would have been our third game of the season, and they were really close games. There's only a goal in one game, 2 goals in another game, and yeah, this is where, again, we're going to see where we're at. I don't like to get my hopes up. I'd never like to read too much anything, because you can turn up one day against a team, like I say, and all the kids be on it and have the performance of your lifetime, and then turn up a week later against the same team and lose by double figures, and that's happened to us. So just want to see where the boys are at, and hopefully we can get a full squad down there and get our goalkeeper in, and we can, give it a good go and get lots of positives out the game. But as for football in my household over the last couple of weeks, that was it for this week's football news. So yeah, just to close off the show, I just want to talk about a couple of things. Obviously, it's that time of year again now. I put a bit of a funny, jokey post on the group chat about the time of the year and the weather and all the rest of it, and how certain coaches can't read weather apps, and I like to plan ahead. So for training, it's Wednesday. We're due to have training tonight, but because I can read a weather app, it's -3 overnight, not meant to be more than 1 or 2 degrees all throughout the day, even with the sunshine, and it's meant to be like 0 and -1 when we start training. Now, I know full well that it's going to be frozen solid down there. It won't thaw out. I know our pitches from last year, they're going to be frozen. So we have a good communication with all our coaches, and as a collective, as a club, we've decided to cancel all training for all teams across all venues. When I say all venues, we train at 2 places, 2 villages right next to each other, because we've got that many teams. So yeah, it's a bit of a united front, that because of the weather, because we know we're gonna call it early, and we're quite sensible. Now, with the game against Outwell at the weekend, it was due to be, freezing temperatures and cold, but it's picked up a little bit where it's meant to be actually 11 degrees during the day. Like I said, look at the app. It's meant to be fairly cold when we kick off, maybe sort of 6-7 degrees, but it's actually meant to be gale force wind, so certain that'll go ahead. I think it's about 40-50 degrees. I say gale force windy, it's meant to be windy, so 40-50 degree wind, so I'm certain we'll go ahead and play that game, where might need a hat and a coat. But yeah, so that'll go ahead. But yeah, it's always been a bit of a pet peeve of mine, is not being able to sort of call a game ahead when you know full well you do get those coaches who like to leave it till an hour before, and if you're travelling, 30 plus minutes, 35 minutes, and you're getting ready in that, it's just, if it's -3 or 4 overnight, it's not meant to be that warm the next day when you kick off at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. at like 1-2 degrees. It's always never going to be thawed out, but you get coaches who like to leave it to the last minute, whereas me, I'm sensible. I like to call it the night before if I can. I'm quite clever with it. I know there probably is a time frame that you're meant to give, but I'll always prep my parents and say, we're not going to play tomorrow, and I'll tell the coach the next day that I've got gone and done a pitch inspection or whatever, and I will do out of courtesy. But it's you get experience at these things, and we lost so much football last year. To get this far into sort of almost the festive period, I'm doing this on the 20th of November as I record this, and not had a call off yet. So just to lose training tonight is no biggie. I really wanted to do training. I actually put a bit of a note out to my parents where I extended the training session by 15 minutes either way, and it's total non-committal. We're going to go from an hour to an hour and a half. We're going to go 15 minutes either side. But again, I understand the complexity of family life and finishing work and having dinners and getting kids from here and there and everywhere. And of course, people do all these running abouts and all the rest of it like I do on a Friday night as a parent, and I have no dinner. So sometimes you're not having dinner till the training's finished. And I understand all these things totally. So again, if you're a new coach to this type of thing and you're trying to do the best for everybody, you've got to understand the family dynamic, and it won't suit everybody. So I've said to my parents that 6 till 7 is the standard. If that's all you can do, you can come at 6, and you need to leave at 7, let me know and I'll make sure they're on their way at 7. But for those who want to, and I'll facilitate it, I'm always down there from 5:30 setting up. So if they want to come at 5:15, I'll have some fun little games just to burn some energy off, ready to go straight into the main session for when everyone's here at 6. And then we've naturally been doing it anyway, and it happens across all grassroots clubs and teams, where you get to the finishing time and the game's still going on and it'll run over 5-10 minutes. I sit there and watch that with Caleb every bloody week. I'm thinking, bloody starving, I need some food, and they're still going on. It's 7:05 or 7:10 or whatever it is, meant to finish at 7. So yeah, it's going to be the same with my lot. I prepped the parents on that, so we're going to extend our training session, because like I say, the time is valuable. So I'm losing a training session at night because of the weather, and it's another week where the boys have missed an hours of training, and I just don't think an hour's enough. Like I said, I had the behavioural stuff where we lost 10 minutes, so you're only down to 50 minutes. By the time you have a quick switch over in a drinking drills, you're down to 45 minutes, and it's for me, if I can give the boys an extra half an hour of football, that's what I'm going to do. I'm down there. When I finish, doesn't matter. I live so close to the venue, and I'm setting up from early anyway, and it's fine. I can facilitate it. Now if other parents can't and they can only do the normal time, then fair enough, so be it. There's no repercussions from that. There's no it is what it is. I understand that certain people can only do certain times, and if they want to stick with that, there's no pressure, no commitment. Do what's best. I put it on there, just do what's best for you on the day, and I'll go with that. So yeah, training's cancelled. I think Caleb's is on the verge of, again, the chap who runs his team's quite sensible. He can already see it's going to be cold, and he said he'll keep us updated. So yeah, where we are, we play on grass pitches and train on grass pitches, and that's all. We're sort of half an hour away from the nearest 3G pitch, which is in Kings Lynn at a place called Lynn Sport, and you're talking 30-40 quid to rent that out for an hour on an evening. So it's all non-feasible really, for a small club like us. So we have to just sort of go with it, and if a game gets called off or a training session gets called off, it is what it is. Sad, but like I say, to get this far into the year or the season, and this is we ain't lost a game yet, but we've just lost a training session due to the weather, so we'll go with that. We've been fairly lucky. So yeah, just want to talk about one other thing. I've been invited on another pod, and I think I'm doing that on Thursday. The Grassroots Kid, again, go check that out. Great podcast. He started it. I chatted to the chap Ian and his boyfriend. Exchanged a few messages early on, and then he's gone on and launched his own podcast. He's done really well with it. He's had a couple of guests on so far already. He's had a chap called Ben on from It's Only Kids Football. Now, if you listen to podcasts, It's Only Kids Football, he's something to do with ESPN and the rest of it. And so he's had some pretty famous people on his show. So he was on the Grassroots Kid podcast as a guest last week. Listen to that, it's a good listen. And then you've got little old me going on there this week, and that's what gave me the kick up the arse really. I've been saying it for ages, I want to have guests, I want to do the video side of things as well, so I'm going to push on with those things. And it's all about finding your niche within the niche, isn't it? So like the only kid, It's Only Kids Football podcast, he has famous people who are involved in grassroots football, or have people operates in them sort of circles, to get their experience and views on it, and that's great. And then obviously I I really love the Grassroots Kid podcast because it's father and son on there, and over time I've tried to drag my boys on there, but they're just not that way inclined, as in very sort of talkative and savvy, whereas Fred on the Grassroots Kid podcast, I think he's great. You can tell he's got a love for football, and he talks about it the way he talks so well, and he's a great sort of co-host, where some children don't have that ability to talk in that way. My kids are, you get kids that give the one word answer or a little bit really quiet, whereas I think Fred loves it. He does so good off it. So yeah, and off the back of that, I want my niche to be talking to new grassroots coaches who are new to it, and I gather that's probably going to be a lot of people. So if I can just get talking to people and find my niche in the market for that, it'd be great to hear from grassroots coaches who are new to doing it and new to the experience of the world of grassroots. And ultimately, once you're in it for a year, it's not a bad place. You find your ways and your needs, and it goes from there. But I just want to hear from other coaches and their experiences and where they're at with it, and if we can have a bit of back and forth, that'd be great, and talk about what we would do and where we're at with it and our thoughts on certain things. It would be great. So, but yeah, thanks for listening to me run on again, and it's great to get some content out there again. Like I say, I'm probably going to go to a fortnightly just from now on, because it's a busy time at the minute, but it is what it is. Life hits us hard, doesn't it? And it is what it is. So yeah, I want to thank you all for listening again, and just shout out to those who contact me on my socials. I am now aware of where messages are and go, but feel free to contact me normally I'm on the Facebook and the Messenger, pretty hot on that, and on TikTok, they're my go-tos. I have got an Instagram out there, and Instagram is massive. I really need to wind my neck in and give myself a boot up the arse for that, because it's massive, Instagram, but I just struggle with it, to be fair. But it is what it is. 40-year-old man trying to get used to these things. I've grown up with it and grown with it. It's just it's repetitive. It's the same thing across all the platforms, but it's what you got to do nowadays. Like I say, I really love TikTok because it's just the endorphins. It gets you hooked in with the little videos and everything like that, and creating the little memes. I love all that stuff. Just it makes it's a break from the world, in it, and I use it for more fun. It brightens my day. A little comedy content. I follow a lot of similar stuff, and just it can be used for a positive stuff. So yeah, I'm hot on that now. So anybody's got any messages or want to have a chat to me, or even wants to come on and be a guest, feel free to give me a shout, a message, and we'll go from there. We'll get it sorted. Okay, no worries. Thanks for listening. This has been the Coach Dad podcast with your host Ben, and I will see you in a week or two. Thank you.